Imagine waking up in a city where the shadows speak, and every cobblestone hides a truth that could shatter reality as we know it. What's up, everyone? Today, we are diving headfirst into a mystery that bridges the gap between the physical world and the deepest layers of the human mind. Look at this image. This is the Charles Bridge in Prague, shrouded in mist, guarded by silent stone witnesses. But this isn't the Prague you see in travel brochures. This is the backdrop for the Prague Revelation. We're talking about a narrative that weaves together the fragile nature of our own consciousness with a conspiracy so massive it reaches the highest levels of power. This isn't just a story, it's an experience that challenges everything you think you know about the world. Imagine a secret so explosive that its mere discovery could shift the course of human history forever. You're not just going to read this, you're going to live it, questioning every shadow you see. Trust me, by the time we're done today, you'll realize why this is the one revelation the world wasn't prepared for. But to understand the weight of this secret, we first have to look at the forces working in the dark to keep it hidden. Let's step onto the bridge and see what's waiting in the fog.
Picture this, the majestic Gothic shadows of Vladislav Hall in Prague. A room that has seen kings crowned is now witnessing the birth of a total paradigm shift. In the crowd sits Robert Langdon, Harvard's most famous symbologist, but even he is stunned by what's happening on stage. Dr. Catherine Solomon, a pioneer in Noetic science, isn't just giving a lecture, she's dropping a truth bomb that challenges the very foundation of human biology. For decades, we've been told the generator model, that our brain is like a light bulb, creating consciousness from within. But Catherine says, X that out. Forget it. It's wrong. Look at the receiver model. This is the game changer. She argues that our consciousness isn't created by our gray matter. It's not even in our heads. Instead, our brain acts as a sophisticated biological antenna. We are tuning into a universal, non-local field of energy. Think about that. You aren't the source of the signal. You are the radio picking up a broadcast that spans the entire cosmos. It sounds like science fiction, right? But for Langdon and Solomon, this isn't just a theory. It's the first clue in a mystery that's about to get much more dangerous. Because if the mind can exist outside the body, then the secrets hidden in our ancient past are more powerful than we ever dared to imagine. And that's exactly where the trail leads us next, as this revolutionary science meets an ancient conspiracy.
Imagine waking up in a cold sweat, your pulse racing because of a vision so vivid it feels like a lethal warning. That's the nightmare Catherine is trapped in. She sees this haunting figure, a woman draped in shadow, wearing a jagged, radiated crown and clutching a cold silver spear. But the truly chilling part? She sees a vision of their own hotel being blown to pieces. Now, normally, you try to shake that off as just a bad dream, right? But here's where things get absolutely insane. Cut to Robert Langdon, out for a morning run on the historic Charles Bridge. The mist is thick, the air is cold, and then he sees her. Not a ghost, not a memory, but the exact woman from Catherine's dream. Down to the spear, the crown, and what he describes as a pestilential odor of death that turns his blood to ice. This isn't just a coincidence. It's a terrifying bridge between the subconscious and reality. The nightmare has stepped out of the mind and onto the streets of Prague, and it brings a scent of rot that signals something ancient is about to be unleashed. But as the fog clears on the bridge, the real question isn't who this woman is, it's what she's trying to stop.
Picture this. Langdon, fueled by a premonition he can't shake, sprints back to the Four Seasons. He's desperate. He pulls the fire alarm, thinking he's saving lives, but the moment the bells start ringing, he's immediately intercepted. Enter Captain Yana Cheek of Czech intelligence. She looks him dead in the eye and confirms his worst nightmare. There's a bomb discovered on site, set to level the place at 7 a.m. sharp. It's high stakes, it's pulse pounding, and it feels like the end. But here's where the story takes a sinister turn. It's all a lie, what they call une petite affabulation. This isn't a rescue mission, it's a masterclass in psychological warfare, a carefully orchestrated deception designed to snatch control and detain them before they can uncover the truth. You can feel the walls closing in, as even Everett Finch from the CIA gets tangled in this web. If you're a fan of those trust-no-one thrillers where the hero is being played like a violin, you are going to devour this. But as the clock ticks toward that fake 7 a.m. deadline, the real threat is already moving into position. Prague, Czech Republic. Beneath the ancient, cold stones of the Bastion Fortress, a secret laboratory holds a chilling sight. Dr. Brigitte Gesser, the very neuroscientist Catherine was desperate to meet, isn't just dead. She's been found floating in a high-tech biostasis capsule like some macabre, futuristic trophy. This wasn't a random act of violence. It was a surgical strike, hidden in the shadows of history. Here's where the conspiracy goes global. At that exact same moment, 4,000 miles away, in the heart of Manhattan, the chaos escalates. Jonas Falkman, Catherine's high-profile editor at Penguin Random House, is snatched right from his office. And as he's being dragged into the darkness, a team of professional cleaners is systematically scrubbing every single digital trace of Catherine's manuscript, codenamed MKS. They aren't just killing the people involved, they're erasing the truth from existence. Someone is absolutely terrified of what's written on those pages, and they're willing to burn down 2 continents to keep it quiet. But if they thought deleting a few files would bury this secret forever, they clearly underestimated what Catherine is willing to do to get it back. Because as the digital world goes dark, the real-world hunt is only just beginning.
Just when you thought Langdon had a handle on the conspiracy, the game board gets flipped upside down. Look at this image. We're talking about the literal legend of Prague stepping out of the shadows and into the 21st century. Captain Jana Cheek, the Czech agent who played Langdon like a fiddle, didn't just get caught. She was brutally erased, hurled from a parapet by something that shouldn't even exist, the Golem. We've officially crossed the line from a political thriller into a full-blown mythological nightmare. This isn't just a man in a mask. It's an unpredictable, unstoppable force of clay and ancient mystery. The Hebrew letters carved into its head mean truth, but whose truth is this creature enforcing? Is this massive engine of destruction a guardian angel for Langdon? Or has a new, even more terrifying enemy just entered the fray? The stakes just went from high to impossible, and the mystery of who is pulling the strings of this ancient titan changes everything. But as the Golem retreats into the fog of the Old Town, Langdon realizes that to survive this, he has to find the one man who knows how to kill a legend.
Think about your brain as a high-security firewall. According to Catherine's groundbreaking research, that's exactly what the neurotransmitter GABA is doing right now. It's not just a chemical, it's a biological filter. It's literally shielding you from the sheer, overwhelming intensity of the universe. We like to think we see everything, but in reality, we're perceiving just a tiny, microscopic fraction of what's actually out there. We are living life through a pinhole. But here is where the story of the manuscript takes a turn into the truly mind-bending. Look at the bottom half of your screen. This is the opening. Catherine discovered that at the exact moment of death, GABA levels don't just dip, they plummet to absolute zero. The firewall crashes, the filters are ripped away. For one brief spectacular window, your consciousness isn't fading, it's expanding. It's the first time you finally see the universe in its full, unfiltered glory. What we've been taught to fear as the end is actually a final, total awakening. It's the ultimate upgrade. But if this is what happens when the system shuts down, what happens if we learn to bypass those filters while we're still here? Because the manuscript doesn't stop at death. It gives us the keys to the engine room of existence itself.
Look at the surface, Gesser's lab. To anyone passing by, it's just a historic fortress, the perfect unassuming cover. But drop down that secret reinforced elevator shaft, and the reality gets dark, fast. We are looking at a massive, shielded Cold War bunker that the world was never supposed to know existed. This is where Everett Finch took the concept of enlightenment and twisted it into a nightmare. Project Portal wasn't about spiritual growth. It was about turning the human soul into a drone. Look at these biostasis pods. This isn't medical tech. It's a cage for the mind. Using Brigitte Gesser's hijacked technology, Finch and his team would induce out-of-body experiences in unwilling subjects. Think about the sheer horror of that.
Your body is trapped in a tube deep underground, while your consciousness is ripped out and projected halfway across the globe to spy on high-security meetings. It is the ultimate, untraceable surveillance tool. No bugs to find, no signals to jam, just a ghost in the room, recording every secret word. But as the CIA began to map the other side, they realized that the deeper they pushed into the astral plane, the more they were being watched back. And that's when the untraceable tool started leaving a trail of its own.
Boom. The mask finally slips. And honestly, this is the plot twist that changes everything. We all thought Sasha Vesna was just this quiet, invisible assistant to Brigitte Gesser, the kind of character that blends into the background. But look at that face. This isn't just a metaphor, it's a psychological crime scene. What we're looking at is the devastating reality of dissociative identity disorder. Born from the absolute nightmare of a Russian psychiatric hospital, Sasha's mind didn't just break, it reforged itself into something indestructible. To survive the horrific abuse mentioned here, she created a protector. Not just any altar, but the Golem. Notice the detail on the right, the stone skin, the glowing eye, and that Hebrew inscription, Emet, or truth. The shocking truth is that the Golem isn't a myth pulled from an old book. It's a living, breathing defense mechanism made of pure trauma. When Sasha is threatened, she doesn't run, she transforms. This protector is now unleashed, and God help anyone standing in her way. But once the Golem starts its path of destruction, can Sasha ever really find her way back to the light? Because as we're about to see, the cost of this protection is higher than anyone imagined.
Picture this. The air is thick with ozone inside the portal's dome. Finch has Langdon and Catherine cornered, weapon drawn, and you can practically feel the desperation in the room. This is the moment everything has been building toward. But just as the hammer is about to fall, the floor shakes. Enter the Golem. Look at this absolute unit, marked with Emet, the word for truth and life. He doesn't just arrive, he changes the entire gravity of a situation. But here's where the story takes a turn you won't see coming. This isn't just a mindless monster. To protect Sasha forever, the Golem makes the ultimate heart-wrenching sacrifice. He sabotages the facility's massive superconducting magnetic energy storage unit. We're talking about a catastrophic release of raw power that triggers an explosion so violent, it literally rips the frozen earth apart. The stakes in this book are just insane. The scale of this narrative payoff is exactly why you need to get your hands on this story. But as the smoke clears and the snow settles over the wreckage, a chilling question remains. What happens when the dust finally falls? The ground trembles, the sky turns gray, and in one blinding flash, the entire nightmare collapses. Langdon and Catherine are standing there, right on the edge, watching the portal program literally turn into a smoldering crater. Finch is gone, the conspiracy is decapitated, and for Sasha, this is finally the first breath of air that doesn't taste like fear. It looks like a total wipeout, a clean slate, but if you know Robert Langdon, you know he's always 3 steps ahead of the game. Because here is the absolute genius of it, the final twist that changes everything. While the bad guys thought they saw their prize go up in smoke, Langdon was busy pulling off the ultimate bluff. He never burned that manuscript. In a move that is pure tactical brilliance, he created a smokescreen in the library, sacrificing a few pages of an old vellum register and a bibliography to feed the flames. He let them believe the truth was lost forever, while the real manuscript sat untouched, hidden in the shadows, waiting for its moment to change the world. But hiding a secret this big is only half the battle. Now that the dust is settling, the real question is, what do you do with a truth that people were willing to kill for? We're heading into the endgame now.
Think about this for a second. What if everything we've been taught about our own minds is completely backwards? Look at the image on your screen. You're seeing a neuron, but it's woven directly into the heart of a nebula. This isn't just cool digital art. It's a visual representation of the most radical shift in human understanding. We're often told that consciousness is just a glitch of biology,
a temporary chemical reaction that vanishes the moment your heart stops beating. But the secret of secrets flips the script entirely. What if your brain isn't the producer of your consciousness, but the receiver? The text here is heavy, but the implications are electric. It suggests that consciousness is a fundamental, non-local property of the entire universe. Think of your life right now as a low-resolution, filtered experience, like looking at a masterpiece through a keyhole. We are living in a tiny, restricted frequency of a much grander reality. And here's the part that will give you chills. When we die, our bodies shut down, but our brains finally wake up. It's the ultimate plot twist. Death isn't the end of the movie. It's the moment the theater lights come up and you realize the world was much bigger than the screen you were staring at. This isn't just philosophy. It's a roadmap to understanding the true scale of your existence, moving beyond the physical limits we've been conditioned to accept. But if this greater reality is waiting for us, what does that mean for the way we live our lives right now in these temporary bodies? That leads us to the most practical and perhaps most shocking application of this secret.
The dust has finally settled, but the world is never going to be the same. This is where the legends are forged and the villains fall. And honestly, the fallout is absolutely wild. First, look at Robert Langdon and Catherine Solomon. They didn't just survive the chaos. They walked out of the fire holding the ultimate prize, the complete manuscript. They're standing there in the heart of New York, ready to drop a truth bomb that will literally rewrite human history. Can you imagine the sheer weight of that discovery? But the real emotional gut punch? That's Sasha Vesna. The Golem, that terrifying, powerful protector altar that kept her alive through the nightmare, has finally vanished. Its mission is complete. For the first time in her life, Sasha isn't just a survivor. She's actually free to heal. It's a hauntingly beautiful end to her arc. Now, if you love poetic justice, Everett Finch got exactly what was coming to him. He tried to weaponize trauma and ancient technology only to be vaporized by the very portal he sought to control. He became a victim of his own hubris, and honestly, you love to see it. And let's not forget the darker side of accountability. Brigitte Gesser thought she could hide behind her lab coat, but the Golem made sure her unethical experiments didn't go unpunished. It's a cold, calculated end for a cold, calculated woman. Finally, we have Jonas Falkman, safe in his New York office, waiting for the manuscript that's about to change everything. The pieces are all on the board, the survivors are picking up the remains, and the stage is set for a new era. But with the manuscript finally safe and the players in position, we have to ask the ultimate question. What happens to the world the morning after the truth is revealed? Let's look at the final piece of the puzzle.
Everything leads to this, the final piece of the puzzle that completely flips the script on the most famous icon in the world. Look at those 7 spikes on the crown. For over a century, we've been told they represent light radiating outward, right? But Catherine's theory? It changes everything. She argues these aren't rays of light, they're antennae. Think about that for a second. Lady Liberty isn't just a passive beacon standing in the harbor. She is a massive cosmic receiver. She's actively pulling in wisdom, culture, and the very essence of the 7 continents. This reframe suggests she was designed to receive souls and ideas, acting as the catalyst for a brand new collective consciousness. It's not just about what she gives, it's about what she collects to forge a unified human experience. This revelation is a total game changer for how we view our history and where we're headed next. If your mind is blown right now, you've only scratched the surface. Click the link in the description to grab the full book and dive into the deep end of this mystery. Trust me, you'll never look at the horizon the same way again.